Everybody, this is Japhet from the Arc of Trading, and today we are going to talk about how to grow a small account. Let's get right into it. Roll the intro. I don't have an intro. Oh no. Okay. Let's get right into it. Okay, so you have opened an account with a broker of choice, and you're starting out with a 20 to 25k peso account. This is a great amount to start with if you're testing the waters with trading and investing. I would not suggest that you put all of your savings into the stock market just yet. Just start with the amount of money that you're willing to not touch or withdraw for the next year or two. It is called investing because it's not instant money or quick money in the stock market. But yes, there will be times that you are able to catch a great stock with great movements, and you just have to be ready for it and know the whys behind every trade. Stock trading and investing in stocks is a marathon, not a sprint. We got to remember that. We can't predict the market, and our goal is to catch some of the great moves. Furthermore, with investing in stocks, you cannot, what you can do is set aside money every month from your paycheck or allowance and add it to your portfolio with your broker. You don't have to just go in with all of your money and all of your savings and bet it all. You have to set a specific time frame with yourself wherein you would not withdraw anything from that portfolio, from that account. A year or two should be good when the time comes, and when the time comes, maybe you can withdraw a little something to treat yourself as a reward for a year well done. And with this video, we will be focusing on how to grow a smaller account, as I've mentioned. And when you're trying to grow a smaller account, diversifying is not an option just yet, because you have to have volume and more shares with the company that you're investing into. So there are 5 key things that we could pay attention to. First, we have the price, the stock price. As you can see here, I've given an example on the stock prices that can go from 1 peso versus the 10 peso per share. When you have a 1 peso stock, let's say you have a 20,000 peso account, right? And you won't be betting all of that into one company. So let's say you invest 5,000 pesos into one company, and you have a 1 peso stock, and then there's another stock that's 10 pesos per share. When you have a 5,000 peso allotment on one company, you would be able to spend that 5,000 pesos and buy 5,000 shares with the 1 peso per share company, compared to just, that's 5,000 divided by 10, 500 shares. So let's just say that each of those stock moved 1 peso per share, and for the stock that you bought for just 1 peso, your money would have doubled when the company does well and the price appreciates, the stock price appreciates and becomes 2 pesos. Compared to a 10 peso stock, even if it moves for 1 peso per share, since you only had 500, that would be only, let's calculate that, what is 1 peso times 500 500 shares is around 500 pesos. So if a 10 peso share just moved up 1 peso, you would only receive an amount of 1 peso of 500 pesos. So that's a movement of 10% compared to a 100% move on the 1 peso per share stock. So let's say you bought 5,000 pesos worth and you spent that on this stock that had a value of 1 peso, and then 2-3 months time, maybe 6 months, your 1 peso per share stock grew to about 2 pesos. So now your 5,000 pesos would be 5,000 pesos, and 5,000 shares would now be double the amount. So that would be 10,000 pesos. So you gained an approximately about 5,000 pesos more on your capital compared to just 500 pesos on that 10 peso per share stock. Yes, it would be percentage on the movements of the price appreciation. Like let's say 1 peso on a 10 peso per share stock might be easier to reach, but a 10 peso stock would be heavier to move. Like more people would have to buy a more expensive stock, and it's harder to move that price. Yeah, that stock price compared to the 1 peso stock price. So as we were talking about the number of shares, that is the next thing you want to pay attention to. As I've mentioned, compared to the 10 peso per share stock, you could buy like literally at like 10 times more than the 10 times more from the 1 peso per share stock compared to the 10 peso per share stock. So now that you have volume, you have more quantity. Your gains would be bigger because per share, it would be counted towards the price appreciation. Let's say it did move 50 cents, for example, on the 1 peso per share stock. It moved 50 cents per share, but since you had 1,000 or 5,000 shares, you could multiply that and you'd have around 2,500 pesos. Compared to, if you only had 500 shares on this 10 peso per share stock, even if it moved 50 cents or a 1 peso, since you only had 500 shares, it would only be multiplied to that amount, to that number, which is zero point 0.5 times 500 would just be around 250. So yeah. And another thing to pay attention to is the volatility of the stock, which is the number of trades it has per day. I say volatile because the more trades there are in a day for that stock, the prices would move around way faster and way more consistently. So what I usually do is, I go to the stocks of the day. I mean the stock list right here, and I would sort by the number of trades. As you can see, this stock in particular had 30,000 trades in that day, and for sure, this stock right here moved a lot. Like it might have only changed 2.9%, but within the day it moved up and down a lot. So there's more potential to price changes when you have a more volatile stock. And next, point number 4, we have position sizing. I've mentioned earlier that if you have a 20K peso account or 25,000 peso account, you would not want to diversify too much on the companies that you're investing into. What I would suggest is maybe divide that into 2 to 4 companies. So you'd have 20% of your portfolio of that account invested into a company. So in that way, you're not trading a very small amount and you're not trading too much at a time. And that would be, a less risky way to trade compared to risking it all in one stock and you're relying on that one stock to do well. And that's where risk management comes in. With your position sizing, let's say you put in 20% of the time on a stock, when your risk would basically be smaller because you're not suffering from one stock, and you cannot, since we cannot predict the future. Basically, we don't know if the stock that you're investing into would be the best one to invest for that day. And if you made a wrong move, you made a wrong trade, you would be losing way more money if you invested it all in just one basket. Like you're putting all of your eggs in one basket, basically. So when I say risk management, set a percentage of the position that you have in place. Let's say 5,000 pesos per company that you're investing into, 5 to 10,000 pesos per company that you're investing into. And then the risk management would be, setting a number percentage. Personally, my risk tolerance for per trade is about 4 to 8% of loss. So if I'm trading 10,000 pesos per company, I'm willing to lose 4 to 8% of that, which is around 400 pesos, I think. Yeah, 400 pesos to 800 peso per trade. So yeah, I won't be risking everything, and a 4% loss is way easier to get back compared to putting it all in one basket, going ahead and trading 25,000 worth of shares, and then putting it all in one company. And if that company doesn't perform well, your 4% would be way bigger. Your 4% might be in the thousands, or if, let's say 10% of 25,000. If that's your risk tolerance, like you're willing to lose 10,000, 10% per trade. So if you have a 25,000 peso account, that would mean that you're willing to lose 10%, which is around 2,500. So that's pretty steep, and that's very huge and very risky per trade. Like, if I compared to trading only 5% or 10%, 10 to 20% for your position per company. If you invested only 10,000 per company and you invested in 2 to 3 companies, your 8% would be way smaller. And if two out of those three trades win, that one loss, you'd be fine. Like, your 800 peso loss or 400 peso loss would be okay. It would be easier to swallow compared to a loss of around 2,500. So you're basically blowing a bigger portion of your portfolio. So yeah, that's my quick take on this. Quick video on the key things that you can pay attention to when you're trading a small account. I hope you picked up something from that. Leave questions below if you have any, and I would gladly clarify that in the comment section. And make sure to check the description as well for socials so you can find me at if you prefer to reach out over there. And thank you for tuning in to this video. I'll see you on the next one.